Alstom's Pendolino is the new generation top-link tilting train for express passenger service between London and Glasgow on the prestigious West Coast Main Line for Virgin. And it was at the Glasgow Model Rail Show in 2002 that we caught up with Ian and John Macready's fine Scottish layout as it was being put together for exhibition. The annual Glasgow show, staged by the Association of Model Railway Societies in Scotland, is held in the Scottish Exhibition Centre on Clydebank. One of the great advantages of a venue like this is that delivery vans can drive right inside. Very handy when you've a big layout to unload. Manhandling all the layout is just the start. BLAIR ATHOLL is like a giant jigsaw with lots of sections to be assembled. First job is to set up the baseboards on their trestle legs. There are many ways to provide accurate alignment of the baseboard sections and to hold them together. Ian uses flap hinges with the pin replaced by a removable bolt formed from a piece of bent rod. The trestles are an easy way of providing adjustable height, which is necessary as exhibition hall floors are seldom level. You just open the trestle slightly wider to reduce the height, and a hook and chain arrangement holds the trestle legs at the right setting. To avoid damage to the track ends in transit, the rails don't reach the edge of the baseboard, and a removable section spans the gap between each piece. Some sections of BLAIR ATHOLL carry no track at all and are purely scenic. It's these that give the layout its depth and realism, but on plain scenery the baseboard joints are hard to hide. John just covers them with loose scatter material. It's all part of good presentation. BLAIR ATHOLL towards DRUMOCHTER, to give the layout its proper title, represents a section of the Highland Main Line south of Aviemore, on the start of the long climb towards DRUMOCHTER summit. The layout highlights the period from the 1980s up to privatisation, and it's the work of father and son team John and Ian Macready. BLAIR ATHOLL was originally operated in the attic of their home, but after some roof braces which had been removed to accommodate the layout had to be reinstated, the model railway would no longer fit into the space, and it now only works as a whole unit at an exhibition. The track plan is a 32-foot extended oval shape, with BLAIR ATHOLL on one long side and the rural scenery of the road and river valley on the other. In fact, there is no continuous section, as the main line rises over 8 inches in more than 60 feet of run between the storage loops. Some of the sections are hidden from the operator, who watches train movement on closed-circuit TV. The significance of BLAIR ATHOLL station is that it's the point where the main line changes from double to single track. Southbound trains have to wait at BLAIR ATHOLL for clearance onto the single track section. It was the last station in Britain at which the local landed gentry, in this case the Duke of Atholl, retained the right to stop trains on demand. After the 47 has passed, the right-of-way is given for the Bachmann 158 to depart. The layout's time span covers some 15 years from the corporate rail blue era up to sprinters and the dawn of privatisation. This coal train is in the hands of a Lima Class 40, representing some of the earliest stock used at shows. Once the Class 40 with its northbound coal train has passed on to the double track, the line south is clear for an express for Glasgow, headed by 2 Class 26s. The distinctive bridge over the River Tilt was designed to blend with the architecture of BLAIR ATHOLL Castle, and this model was built from 1.5mm thick mounting card, with extensive use made of laminated plastic microstrip for the bridge girders. The scenery and structures are John's work, and the river bed uses real sand, taken from the River Tilt. The water is made from casting resin, a 2-part epoxy mixture, which is poured over a prepared and coloured riverbed. It sets hard in around 24 hours, and it's available in a trial pack, direct from Model Rail. Although this is a modern image layout, it reflects the whole Scottish scene, and would not be complete without the occasional steam-hauled special. A small extension has allowed additional scenic modelling around the bridge, with plenty of activity in the adjacent fields. There are more than 200 miniature figures on the layout. An exhibition layout needs to offer the viewer both plenty of activity and variety. For most visitors to shows are not only modellers, but also family groups. BLAIR ATHOLL's timescale takes in diesel locomotive haulage through to the age of the Sprinter. BLAIR Atholl station is set within the townscape, towards the back of the scenic area, to give a real impression of being part of the scene, rather than dominating it. The adjoining area of the town is faithfully modelled with all the correct buildings produced by John, despite his protest that it was a lot to expect of a middle-aged modelling novice. He even appears on the model, beyond the village football match, walking his 2 Labradors in the park. A substantial scenic extension to the front of the layout has allowed John to model BLAIR Atholl village centre as an almost exact replica. The centrepiece is this imposing hotel, 4 stories high and surrounded by tourists and a coach party. All the buildings were constructed of 1.5mm thick mounting card, the sort you can buy in most picture framing and art stores. Stonework is embossed by hand and painted. John uses photographs of individual buildings for reference and also works from pictures, which have been enlarged to scale size to provide the correct dimensions for doors and windows. Forbes the Grocers was specially built for the BBC series Strathblair, which was filmed in the town, so it appears on the layout complete with a film crew at work.